Welcome to IndieCade and welcome to the funding panel. There's a lot of feedback here. So my name's David Nottingham. I have kind of my relationship to indie funding is that I've tried and failed. So I'm kind of interested to hear about what these guys have to say. So first of all, I just thought I'd let you guys kind of give a short introduction. Jesse, Ron, Dave, and John. So Jesse, I'm going to pass you the mic. Tell us what
Let's see if I can ground it. Is that better?
Another beer.
All right. Hey everybody, I'm Jesse.
Okay.
5 years ago, I broke out on my own and I started a company called Psychic Funny that was a film and television company that did some interactive. And a year ago, we spun off. That didn't work.
I have a game company called Codename. I'm the co-founder and CEO of that company, and we are the indie game that we actually announced at the Singularity this last year at IndieCade.
A bit louder.
We are a bit louder, and we were going concern, and in July we announced that the first 4 of our titles are going to be on PlayStation at the end of the year, and we'll talk about the rest of it later. That's who I am.
I'm Ron Carmel. Kyle and I made World of Goo, and after that I was going to look for something that would not be compared to World of Goo, because there's no way in hell I'm going to live up to those expectations. So I was really happy when the idea of Indie Fund came along, and then a bunch of indie developers got together, pulled money together, and decided that we're going to try to create an alternative funding model for independent developers that tries to address some of the problems that are inherent in traditional kind of publisher-developer relationship.
I came here when I worked in business development for Foundation 9, which is a very large independent developer. 650 people and 6 studios in the world. We're venture-backed, so we have VC funding. So that presents its own different challenges. And we can get into that a little more.
So I'm John Hight, and I actually oversee Sony Santa Monica's internal studio, which did God of War 3. What does that have to do with indie development? Well, before that, I started the content side of PlayStation Network, so I founded that game company. I also teach at USC, I'm adjunct professor there. The Everyday Shooter, Pixel Junk series, Fat Princess. So a lot of those early PSN titles for people like yourselves that I went out, looked at your games, and decided, hey, here's how we can make Sony different from the rest of the world. So I've always believed in indie development. I was an indie developer myself, although with an IP that I appropriated and did not own, Battleship. And luckily, Bill Bradley decided to give me the rights to that 5 other games. I published for a great platform called CDI, which probably came out before most of you were born, but it was a total failure, but that was my early So I'll tell you more. I encourage you to ask questions, please.
So, just to kind of get things kicked off, I guess I want to start with devil's advocate question, which is like, why do we really need funding for independent games?
I actually think anybody who can make a game without funding is way better than getting funding. Even the regulated funding terms will still be used. That's kind of why, primarily why Ron and I decided that rather than savings, but we're lucky enough to have enough savings. And there's also been based money along the way with the pre-orders, which kind of saved our budget because we wouldn't have been able to.
Can't really hear it back.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start speaking louder now. The fact that we were able to take pre-orders kind of saved our butts because we would have actually run out of money. But we were in the lucky position that we had enough savings to fund our own game. If we didn't have that, which a lot of people don't, we would have had to get funding. I mean, a lot of indie developers are kind of in their early 20s, and before you've had a chance to kind of get high-paying jobs that allow you to save up enough money so that you can go a year or 2 years without having a paycheck. And yeah, that's that's I think the key.
So I think it's interesting about kind of having a day job, storing up money. I guess you can kind of put that like a lot of the younger guys who might be coming out of college, certainly have less overheads. Like, what about those guys that are, you've got mortgages, you've got kids, feels like right now, it's kind of hard for those guys to kind of find a way into IndieCade. Is that something like where you think indie fund is a key?
Actually, no.
Really?
Yeah. One of the things we're trying to do is fund developers and have a really low burn rate. World of Good is 120K developed. Raid, I think, 180, is that? Yeah. And that's the kind of range we're looking for. And if you have a team of 3 working for 2 years, that means that you're spending about $2,000 a month. If you have kids and a mortgage, it's very difficult. If you don't have student loans, car payments, or anything like that, it's very easy. I lived in San Francisco, it was relatively expensive for 2 years on $2,000 a month.
Right. Okay. So, Jay, Foundation 9 is, it's a big studio, right? You're kind of inflected on different studios. How did that kind of come about? I know it was originally collective.
Right, the stream. We can't hear anything now.
Stupid truck!
Blow up the truck and I'll fix the wall.
Is it? No.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question was about how Foundation 9 got started, basically. It was basically 3 studios that drove it, and then through acquisitions and other deals, they're now up to 6 studios, some bigger than others.
So, I mean, VC funding as a source of investment for games, that seems to be a path that's available for a social games company, like you have a Zynga, like a business model, but is that something that's really available for the other types of games, like story-driven or kind of the type of games we see here?
I think it has less to do with the genre of games that you're making than what you want out of it, what you want out of the deal. Because if you think from the perspective of a VC, what they want is to make their money back and then a lot more on top of that. So they're looking for an IPO or an acquisition, meaning they want F9, for example, to be acquired or to go IPO. That's the way that they make their big bucks back. So unless you're ready to lead a company to do one of those things, there's probably VC is not the way to go.
John, so in your role, starting up PSN for Sony, you guys work with people like That Game Company. What is it that Sony's doing that you feel really kind of is providing funding models for gamers? Like, can you talk a little bit about what you guys were setting out to do at the outset of setting up PSN? Okay, if it scratches, I'll stop.
Alright, I'm going to talk really loud. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Kind of. We have 2 things we got going on. First party, we come in, we work very closely with you. That was the kind of deal we did with That Game Company, where we actually incubated. That means that they came in our offices, and I gave a producer, some engineers, and designer to work closely and help them build a company. And that in that particular case, we fund 100%. Sony owns the IP. They're generally looking for a longer-term deal. In this case, it was a 3-product deal. But there's another side of Sony, which is called our Pub Fund, which is more traditional third-party development. They fund up to $500,000, and there it's more hands-off. You won't get all the assist, so to speak, but it's a direct way to get onto PSN and get a little bit of money to do it. In general, Sony looks for titles that are unique. We're not looking for specific, hey, we need a shooter here, or we need some faith in you that you'll get it past those difficult periods. And we'll also be candid with you and say, hey, you know what, you're missing the mark. You know, your vision was this, but this title is just not, it's not there, it's not revealing. But if you're stuck with, you know, some rookie person that really doesn't know any more about games than you do, or somebody that really doesn't care about your game, it's just one of a whole list of things that they're responsible for, bad partner, right? So you may be stuck with that because it's your first gig, but this isn't something you should actively jump out to.
So it's kind of a loaded question. Do you feel like publishers today are really kind of like taking steps with where the market's going with like digital content and independent development? Because that whole scene is coming out to me. It feels like in some ways, you know, like you talked about a good publisher, you know, are there good publishers out there that are working on development?
I would say absolutely. I mean, if you look at just to, you know, not to harp on Sony, but like for example, just to take Sony as an example, and you look at the kind of titles that they've published, you know, Flower and Everyday Shooter, they're really unusual titles. It shows that they care more about building something unique and interesting around PlayStation Network, and not so much in let's do. And they're a lot less interested in let's just copy everything successful that has come before, right? Like you just look at their catalog and you can tell a little bit about what sort of publisher they are. So if you're ever, you know, when you are talking to a publisher, do a lot of research, do your homework, and figure out what motivates them first of all.
They swap it back here like this. Okay.
So I disagree. I'm to say it's my turn to talk. So I disagree.
You have the crunch.